United States President Donald Trump announced the preparation of a new massive strike against Iran, as Tehran refused to sign a new nuclear agreement. At the Norfolk Naval Base in Virginia, where the 250th anniversary of the United States Navy was celebrated, President Donald Trump emphasized the United States' readiness to respond to any attempts by Iran to resume its nuclear program. The response is known. These are new strikes on nuclear facilities, just like in June. It is telling that Iran is now in a position where it is better not to make any moves at all. After all, the United Nations has reinstated all its sanctions against this country. And the currency has depreciated so much that $1 is already worth more than 1,000,000 rials. The authorities removed some zeros from the local currency, renamed it, and claimed the dollar would now be cheaper with the new currency. Meanwhile, the United States is facilitating talks between Hamas and Israel to end the war in Gaza, with negotiations happening today in Egypt. Trump is threatening to destroy Hamas if the terrorists do not accept the terms of the peace plan, but Tehran has unexpectedly supported Trump's plan for Gaza. But there are big problems in Iran itself, because Tehran may soon stop being the capital of this country, and the authorities are seriously talking about moving the capital. For what reason? Because there is simply no water in the capital. So we will discuss the main news from the Middle East in this episode. My name is Pechiy. Today is October 6th. And before we start this episode, I ask you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, give it a like, leave any comment, and I also recommend subscribing to my Telegram channel, Pechiy News. The link is in this video's description. We post breaking news there as it happens. So let's start with Donald Trump's new threats against Iran. Donald Trump, speaking to American military personnel at the Norfolk Naval Base in Virginia, emphasized the United States' readiness to respond to any attempts by Iran to resume its nuclear program. He stated that if Tehran takes steps to restart its nuclear development, the United States will deal with it in a well-known way. Trump said that despite internal issues, the American military is still the world's most powerful. And speaking about the Navy, he emphasized the significance of the 250-year history of the United States Navy, their perseverance and courage, as well as the power of the fleet docked at the waterfront, which represents the symbol of this country's maritime superiority. According to him, the docked ships and the fleet's tonnage serve as a convincing argument so that no one would dare to start a confrontation with the United States of America. Was that a message to Iran? But the main news in all Arab, Iranian, and Israeli publications today was Trump's statement that the United States is ready to strike Iran again. For Iran, this is a huge problem because Iran is going through one of the most serious economic crises of recent decades. Against the backdrop of the falling national currency and the return of international sanctions, the Iranian parliament approved a law on monetary reform. When I mention reform, it may sound like Iran's economy will change drastically, but that's not true. The 4 zeros will be removed from the Iranian rial, and the official currency will once again become the taman. Now, 1 taman will be equal to 10,000 rials. As they say, removing zeros from currency won't fix the problem. The decision to remove the zeros aims to stabilize the economy amid sharp currency devaluation and rising essential goods prices. Attention here. On the black market, the dollar has already exceeded 1,160,000 rials. This is a historic high for Iran. Once again, $1 is worth 1,160,000 rials. Iranian authorities claim the reform will restore confidence in the currency, but Iranian economists see it as only a cosmetic change. Without large-scale reforms, as they say, the situation will become catastrophic. There are, of course, fewer zeros now, but things haven't gotten any better because of it. Inflation continues to rise due to sanctions, corruption, and inefficient management. The population is massively switching to dollars and gold. At the same time, most transactions are carried out at the unofficial exchange rate, which is several times higher than the official one. Officially, $1 costs just tens of thousands of rials, but you can never actually buy dollars at that rate. And now, experts are comparing the current measures with the monetary reforms of other countries that have faced hyperinflation. But they note that, unlike the successful Israeli stabilization plan of 1985, Tehran's move is not backed by economic transformation. Thus, the symbolic replacement of the rial with the toman only highlights the depth of the crisis in the Iranian economy, from which the country is unlikely to emerge without serious structural changes and a revision of its financial policy. And now there's also a new threat from Donald Trump with new strikes against the nuclear program. Well, that's not all yet. The thing is, the day before, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian made a statement that the country basically has no other choice but to move the capital from Tehran somewhere to the south. The main reasons for such a drastic step are, pay attention, the excessive expansion of the metropolis, a severe water shortage, and the growing threat of ground subsidence. And the thing is, even in Tehran, there's practically no drinking water left because the entire system is so worn out that it's simply unable to serve even the capital of Iran anymore. Pezeshkian said that this proposal has already been discussed with the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, but neither Pezeshkian nor Khamenei told the Iranians about all the years after the Islamic Revolution. They didn't invest even $1 in infrastructure, but instead spent millions on weapons and the nuclear program. As a result, the capital of a multi-million nation was left without water. No water, and the ground is also subsiding. The issue is so severe that the president proposes moving the capital to a new city. As if this one can't be saved and it's pointless to try, just relocate it. But here's what Pezeshkian says, quote, "Unchecked development that ignores natural resources leads to destruction. Without balancing growth and resource use, development will ultimately fail." And then he gives an example of catastrophic soil subsidence, which in some areas reaches 30 centimeters per year. This is a clear sign that underground water reserves are depleted. And they are depleted because Iran's underground military facilities have disrupted the soil layers, which would have restored themselves without human interference. And there wouldn't be this problem. But instead, it's all underground. Explosions, military facilities, and the nuclear program. As a result, it turned out that after a few decades, the groundwater disappeared somewhere and the ground is subsiding. But instead of saving the whole country, Iran keeps sticking its nose into the affairs of the Gaza Strip, for example. Today, decisive talks on a ceasefire between Israel and the Gaza Strip began in Egypt. The talks are being mediated by the United States and Egypt, without direct contact between the two sides. The talks aim to free Israeli hostages in return for a temporary ceasefire and the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners, some convicted of terrorist attacks. And now Iran has decided to have its say on Trump's peace plan for Gaza. The representative of the Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Esmail Baghaei, stated that Tehran supported the initiative of United States President Donald Trump regarding ending the war in Gaza and releasing the hostages. But he added that there is a risk that Donald Trump's plan may face opposition from Israel. The diplomat said, any decision on the plan is up to the Palestinians. But here's a pressing question. Who even asked Iran about how they feel regarding the negotiations on Gaza? You should address your country's issues first. You don't have water, your soil is subsiding, and $1 is worth more than 1,000,000 rials. But instead, you say, listen, there's a danger that Israel might disrupt something. Take care of your own country before it disappears completely. But who am I to give advice? So this is just my subjective opinion. Write your opinion in the comments under this episode, subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and don't forget to like. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.